Okay, so 2D animation class, let's get started. So we'll be using Grease Pencil inside Blender 3D. So when you start the program, it looks like this. You have your splash screen. What you need to do is click on New File here, 2D Animation. Okay, that will start the Grease Pencil. Or let's say you started the program and you click accidentally outside the splash screen where it gives you the option to select 2D animation, and it's gone. All you have to do is go to File, New, 2D Animation, and it will be the same thing. Okay, you can make Blender start in 2D animation as a startup. There's an option for that, but we're not going to go to that one. But just in case you use it exclusively, you might want to look into that. Okay, so 2D animation, this is the Grease Pencil portion of Blender. Okay, so when we start, it looks like this, and it can be a very traditional animation program, but it has all the a lot of the advances and techniques of having a digital 2D animation program. The heart of Blender, Grease Pencil, is still the 3D part, and this is the 2D portion, but you have access to the 3D, which makes it really powerful when you want to do a lot of backgrounds, parallax, the works, using the 3D canvas. As you can see here, if I scroll a little bit and then I'm going to rotate the camera, as you can see, it's not really flat. You are actually in 3D world. You just happen to be watching it in a flat canvas. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the interface and see what we have here. Okay, so when it starts, it looks like this. The edge to edge is not showing on your paper. Okay, so let's take a look first at the default. So I'm going to go right here to the property panel. Okay, I'm going to click on the very top one where it says render right there, and then the one below it where it says output. Okay, so the reason why we're here right off the bat, before we even get started, is that this dictates your screen size and your frames per second, meaning how many drawings are we watching per second. Okay, so by default we are 1920 by 1080, so full HD 1080p is the resolution of this paper or this canvas. Okay, and we are viewing it at 24 frames per second. So we're not going to touch those. We're not going to change those. We'll be using the default. Okay, so for film, 24 frames is standard, and that's what we're following. Okay, the thing is, if you happen to move this, let's say, to Blu-ray or some other video, it'll do a telecine where it will add those 6 extra frames to get 30 frames per second. Okay, but we're animating in 24. Okay, our resolution or canvas size is 1920 by 1080. So this is a landscape portrait. I am in landscape orientation. It's 1920 this way. Okay, so let's write that down real quick, and then we'll go back to the interface. So 1920 this way, and then 1080 this way. So this is the resolution. Okay, though it may not look like it, this is a vector program. Okay, so all the strokes that I'm doing right here, these are all points. If you zoom in, let's zoom in, there's tiny points right here. Okay, so we can change this. Let's say you happen to change your mind and you say HD, it's too small, I want to go bigger, then all your vector will not pixelate, they will adjust, they'll still be as sharp. So let's say we want to go with 4K on this one. I'm going to go times 2, asterisk 2 on 1920, and then 1080, asterisk 2 times 2. So we are now at 4K resolution or Ultra HD, 3840 by 2160p. Okay, But as you can see, none of the things I drew on top on the paper even changed. They didn't stay here with a lower resolution, because this is what the HD looks like. This is the previous 1920 by 1080. Okay, we have expanded this to 3840, and then here it's 2160. Okay, so output under format right here, resolution, that's what you get. Okay, that's what's when you do, let's say, a render image. So this gigantic render right here, this is a 4K render. Okay, so if I switch this back to 1920 by 1080, okay, as you can see, it kept its aspect and all that stuff. Render image, you can see this is tiny. Okay, so just want to show you that it's under output right here on the it's the one that looks like a printer with a paper sticking out. Okay, and we are animating in 24 frames per second. So this is our frame rate, 24 frames per second. That means in order to watch 1 second, if we're animating in ones, okay, so you will need 24 of this drawing right here in order to play 1 second worth of animation. Okay, all right, that's not 24, but you get the point. Okay, so all right, so that's our playback, that's our frame rate, and that's our resolution. So now we can get started again. So I'm going to go File, New 2D Animation, don't save. Okay, and we're starting a new canvas. All right, so I just want to show you those output. Okay, so first things first is let's take a look at our tools right here. Let me turn on my sidebar, and I'm going to turn on my screencast so that you see the stuff that I'm doing over here. And we're going to need a shadow for that, and maybe a background. Okay, so let's see. There you go. So let me see if I can get away with no background. All right, that's not so bad. Okay, but the mouse, it needs a, let's see, for the mouse I might need a shadow. It's not showing, so I probably will have to put the background right there, just so that you could see the keyboard shortcut that I'm using. All right, so we got our screencast and we're ready to go. Okay, so if we take a look at the interface right here at the very top, you got your file menu, right? Your file menu where you save, open file, import, export. Not necessarily what you mean by exporting a movie. This is something else. We actually render that one. Export meaning export it to another file type, like for alias wavefront, you know, for Autodesk FBX, so on and so forth. Okay, but this is where you save your file, and this is where you open. If you crash, you can recover right there, last session, and autosave, so on and so forth. Open recent to open the recently opened file. That works. Edit, undo, redo. You get your history. Repeat last, repeat history. That works. Standardized file menu. Render, however, this is where we render our still image, our animation, or just audio to preview. Okay, we can also watch what we rendered as a still image, and we can watch our animation here. But it pops up depending on the file type. We only take accept QuickTime for our class, QuickTime MOV file, so it has its own player and it plays by itself. Window, this is where you can get your standard full screen, edge to edge. You can start a new window, new workspace, but don't worry about those. Okay, help, that's where it is. And then here we have we have our canvas. This is your traditional one where you have your tool palettes right here. You got your property panel, UC interface. Basically, when you go to the full canvas, you're just drawing in your tiny little timeline over here. So here you want to maximize your drawing space. Compositing, this is basically like Nuke, or back in the day Shake, or After Effects. This is where we composite all our animation. This for advanced stuff though, okay? We're still learning the basics, so we'll get there eventually. And rendering to see what you rendered from here, okay? So you're going to spend 99% of the time here in the 2D animation tab. Okay, so now that we have the file menu and the tabs, here you have your collection or outliner. Think of this as layers, okay? This is not layers in animation per se, but collection of objects, okay? So you can group them, and then you can decide to lock them, unselect them, render them, or see them. So this is basically grouping, okay? I don't want you getting confused, because in traditional Blender 3D, this would be your layering, and then here we have our own layer in Grease Pencil, okay? So our toolbar right here, keyboard shortcut T for tool if you want to hide that, okay? Here the bottom is your basically timeline. This is your Grease Pencil timeline. Think of this as a if you it's showing right now kind of like this. You got your frame 1, okay? If you draw this up like so, that's frame 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. If you go like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's like there's stacks of paper, okay? So you draw here, that's the first paper, okay, in a celluloid or cell animation, and then you lift that, you draw here at the bottom, that's frame 2 or page 2, okay? We just put it here horizontally because monitors are wider than taller. I mean, you can rotate them, but traditionally your interface is a horizontal interface, okay? So that's what the timeline is. So when I move this to frame 2 using my arrow keys, I'm drawing on the 3rd page now, 4th page, 5, 6, 7, so on and so forth. So be careful with this because you have your auto animate here. We're going to do a more illustration project at the beginning. So we're not going to animate right away. I suggest you turn off that auto keyframe, so regardless where you go to frame 15 and you drew something, it's not going to be animated. It'll just be stuck on 1, okay? For now, that's the default. All right, so right here is our timeline. Okay, this is where we change our pages. These are our tools: our pen, paint, fill bucket, eraser, excuse me, our cutter, our pre-made lines, circles, squares, so on and so forth, okay? And then here we have our property section, and we just want to deal with this one right here, which is the Grease Pencil tab. It looks like this squiggly green line, and the one below it would be our materials, okay? So we'll have lesson on covering those in full detail, okay? So this just kind of like an overview. How do we navigate here? You see here the magnifying lens, that's your zoom in and zoom out. So if you click and drag that, you can then see the edge of your paper. Click on the hand tool right there. You get to pan your paper or your camera. Oh, I panned it too far right there. And then here, this toggles your working camera. So we're in the recording camera right now. And Grease Pencil happens to be a recording and a working camera as well. But if you click that, it takes you out into the 3D world. Okay, so simply click that back, and you're back to your drawing in case you accidentally move this with your mouse. Okay, so how do we zoom in and out using our mouse? So here it is with a scroll mouse. Okay, how do we pan? If I hold down Shift and press the middle click and drag it left and right. Okay, so I'm dragging my middle mouse click, not scroll, and Shift. If I change Shift to Control and middle mouse click drag up and down, I get my zoom. Okay, so if you want to use your mouse or you want to use your icons right here, it don't make any difference. Okay, So how do we get started with the drawing here? All right. We have our drawing pen right here. I'm going to be using the mouse here so that you could really see the difference. And you need a drawing tablet if you want to have some a little bit of drawing comfort. Okay. You can use the mouse, but it's a lot of work just to correct those lines. Okay. So draw. If I click that, by default, we have the pencil as our pen. And then the ink we're using is called the solid stroke right here. Okay. So when I use the mouse, since there's no sensitivity on the mouse, it's always going to be the radius doesn't change. There is no sensitivity on the pen. I'm using a Wacom pen right now. As you can see, I can have subtle or really hard thick lines. Okay, can't do that with a mouse because there's no pressure sensitivity on the mouse. That's the pen right there. You can change the pen to, let's say, to ink right here, and as you can see here, okay, it knows pressure sensitivity. I'm changing my drawing pen at this point. There are available grease pencil brushes more than these, and we can get we have videos to show you how to do those. Okay, here a marker, great for storyboard or just blocking out backgrounds and whatnot. Okay, so that's our draw. Okay, what else here? We can also do in animation, you complete your fill lines, correct? And you need this one right here. So we have videos. They changed this tool over the years, and our videos are still the same. They're still valid. They're older, but they're still they still work. Kind of like when we draw a close outline like so. Let's say we close that outline, right? And we want to fill this with color. It used to be if I switch this tool to the fill bucket, okay, and change my paint to solid fill, all I need to do is click that and it fills it up. Okay, they changed that so you can change in Blender or in Grease Pencil how much of the spill, okay, in case you have an opening right there. So I'm going to zoom in on that. Okay, I'm actually going to press cancel and cancel that. I'm going to zoom in on that one so you could see what is happening when I press that. So now the new tool, so the old tool, I mean the old videos, they still show you that you just click this and it does it, right? Well, it changed now, so this is what you need to do when you use the fill bucket to follow the other lesson. So first you click it, left click, and then after that you drag your mouse. As you can see, you see those teal line going, so that's the spill that it's expecting to cover, right? So normally, since this, we know for sure this is a close outline, so we're not going to put much in there. You don't even need to do anything. Once you scroll your mouse, designate how much spill you want, and then you click again, okay? And, oh yeah, okay, so I forgot something. This is what I meant to do. All right, the reason why that didn't work is that Blender Grease Pencil, if you're using a Mac, and you're using I think it started in 3.5 all the way to version 4 of Blender in Grease Pencil, you need to turn off your metal back-end GPU. If you're a Windows user, you don't have to do a thing. If you own a Mac, whether it's Intel or the new ARM chips or the Mac chip, okay, you need to do this. I totally forgot. Go to Edit, Preferences, okay, before we do the sample right here. Where it says here under System, GPU backend, and it says metal, you need to replace this with OpenGL. Otherwise, you will crash when you use this tool. I know it's crazy, but that's what's happening right now. They haven't updated the backend. This is only for Mac users. Any type of Mac, whether the Intel, old Intel, or the new Apple. I mean, like you can see here, I'm using the M2 Pro Apple, and it will crash. Okay, so once you change that, it used to be metal, okay, you change it to OpenGL, it says requires a restart for Blender to take effect. So this is the perfect time to do that. We're going to quit Blender, close Blender, don't save this one, So, all right, so now I can start Blender again. All right, now we'll be able to do the fill brush without crashing. Okay, all right, only for Mac users. If you're Windows, you're good. All right, so back to this one. I'm gonna switch my pencil to the ink pen. I'm gonna try and draw a close outline. Okay, and I'm gonna go to my fill brush. All right, it used to be, like I said from the previous video, we just click this. Okay, now we have to specify how much of that, and then you click again, it fills it. Okay, so it's like a 3-click process. I know it's for the spill and precision. We'll explain that more later. So let's try a little bit more. So I'm going to go back to my draw pen, go back to the solid stroke right here. And like I said, we have detailed videos on this. Just want to cover this part, especially the metal GPU part. Okay, so there we go solid fill, click that, specify that one. So let's say I want to make those shorter, click again, it fills it. So it's a 3-click process. In the video back in the day, we just clicked that. That's before the precision was introduced. So back then we make sure all the outlines are closed. Now you can have a little leeway where it's a little bit open. You change, you scroll your mouse in between the fill tool, and it should finish it or fill it without spilling, because before it will overspill. Okay, so I just want to kind of touch base on that one, our little primer on grease pencil and the changes that you need to apply for the old lessons so that they're a little bit more current with the information. It's just the fill brush right here and precision. Okay, otherwise all those lessons will be valid. All right, so we're going to put this as our week 1 video, and I'm going to post all the other lessons that you need to get started with grease pencil first. Whether you're in 2D animation 1 or 2D animation 2, this should be a refresher for everybody. And if you've done this before, then you simply resubmit what you already have. We're going to have to start with the fundamentals of animation with solid drawing. We want to make sure our illustration is pretty solid. You need to draw in order to animate 2D. That's just what it is. We are animating traditional 2D animation frame by frame. Okay, so I will end the video here, and I will post this video and put all the week 1 video, and then you should have your homework one posted. If not tonight, tomorrow, the start of class. We won't start class until Tuesday. We do have a hybrid class, so some of you can attend face-to-face, but all the lessons will be online. So if you don't have any computer or drawing tablet, you need to go to class. And it's if you look at your class schedule, the room number is G320, George G320 at North Lake College, and we start class from 6 p.m. Okay, so 6 p.m. to 9:50, but that's covering all the open labs. So someone will be there, but it's not going to be all the way to 9:50, depending on usually the lecture is all the way to 8, and then we do virtual open lab after. Okay, you can take the class 100% online. If you show up on Tuesday, that means you want to know what's happening in the class in advance probably, and then or you need help with our homework. So all the help, our virtual lab is available from 6 to 8 or 6 to 9:30, I think, that I put in the schedule. Okay, let me take a look. Okay, let's go here. All right, so this is our virtual lab. Okay, so we meet, you should I send this link to the Brightspace. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, it's on Brightspace. You need to apply and be a member. Okay, let me click on Manage Team, and then you have 2 classmates right there already with our live assistant. So 2D Animation 1 and 2D Animation 2 students, you need to be a member of this one, so you have to apply for it. The link to apply for the 2D Animation Lab It's in the announcement in Brightspace, and I sent emails already. Same thing if you're also in my 3D animation class, that's the same thing. All right, so we meet Tuesday 6 p.m. live here for our virtual lab, meaning if you need help with homework, this is where you go online. You have to click this one right here, and by 6 p.m. there should be a meeting already. Do not start a new one, simply join the existing one. Okay, then you can share your screen, we can share our screen, we can help you. So this is where you get help. It's in the 2D animation virtual lab. All right, so I'll see you guys on the next lesson.